Second time! It's Nova Minokawa with my co-host Mordio Crow, and we are doing the greatest TTRPG experience. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry that there is scuff immediately. In fact, I got everything ready before the stream. I did some testings, and then my microphone, or not my microphone, my headphones started to break down. So I had tried 2 different headphones, and things got messed around. But anyway, we're here now. Hi, say hi, Mordio.
Hello, I'm here too.
I'm glad the applause worked. I hope it was still hype. Anyway, yeah, so
Uh,
over the last month, I have been begging people to submit their
mhm.
TTRPG stories to us so we can read them on stream. Because I don't know about you, but when I hear other people's stories, I can't help but want to talk about my own and compare and just like I relate to a lot of these stories. I like hearing other people's stuff, and a lot of the people that I talk to for TTRPG games are also artists. So we have some art in here too, and man, I just love drawing our characters and the cool stories they've been. How do you feel about talking about stories?
I mean, I can tell TTRPG stories pretty much all day and listen to them. You know, it's a big, I don't know, big interest, big hobby, right? Uh, just the different systems, the different campaigns, all that kind of stuff. But it's very exciting to hear that we have a lot of art too. That's one area which, I'm not a particularly keen artist, so having players draw stuff for games is a lot of fun.
Yes, yes, I draw a lot of that, and so does our group. We are a big group of artists. Well, just so we're, adding to this scuff, appears that our chat is also not working. So that's cool. Very cool, very.
Play the applause sound effect again.
Ooh. Yeah. So great job, me. Why don't
Mm.
you talk about your experience as like a person who plays TTRPGs, someone who GMs them for us while I fix this?
Ooh, for me, I think we've been playing TTRPGs for what, a decade now, but I've done a lot of role-playing type stuff growing up too. That wasn't strictly tabletop RPGs, a lot more freeform stuff with, I'm sure a lot of people do when they're younger, like, play pretend with their siblings or cousins, but we just kept doing it all through our teenage years. And eventually it reached coherent stories, right?
Yeah.
Level where we would actually repeatedly return to the same world and setting over and over again, with me filling the role of the GM with, my siblings playing characters, my cousins playing characters. And there were issues due to age gaps, right, with engagement. But I think that's where it started. And then eventually, I think you're the one who pulled me into actually play for the first time because you got into an actual tabletop group.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, we did do some role play ourselves, sort what you were talking about before, just like kind of making up stories, but it was through
Hmm.
like chat and stuff,
Yeah.
whatever
Oh,
the messenger of the time was.
hmm. And actually, now I think about it, my family did have the Star Wars D6 tabletop RPG, but it was completely over my parents' head. They thought it was a normal board game and could not understand how to run it. And when me and my siblings tried to play it, we did not use the rules appropriately. We just kind of rolled dice and used they had little paper cutout minis where like you could fold them so they stand up.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
cute. I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
We're just not gonna have chat. It's all right. Like I said before, you guys are not that important.
Oh,
Just kidding. I'm just kidding. I just can't do it right now. I'm so sorry. As I do more of these things, hopefully I'll get better. We'll see. Or maybe I'll just
yeah.
keep failing and tripping on my face forever. No, I'm just kidding. You guys are really important. I'm really glad if you're here or watching the VOD later on, or I guess right now if you're listening to the VOD. Thank you. Thank you so much, because I know that a lot of you are the people who submitted the story. So like truly you are very important, and I am so appreciative for every time you guys show up on stream or like communicate with me. Yeah, so I guess I'll talk about a little bit about my experience before we jump in here. Like you said, I pulled you into the game, sort of. My friends in college were playing D&D, and I was sort of like adjacent to my roommate that was playing. And yeah, they pulled me in, and I was like, oh, this sounds like something Morty would like. And yeah, I got you into it too. Unfortunately, that particular first campaign we were all in did not last very long. But ever since, we've been playing years and years and years. And how many games have you GM'd for us at this point?
Ooh, a lot if you count all of the one-offs and short ones.
If
we're only counting the really big ones, then we have what? Convergence, Scrappers, Undone, Exiles, and now this. I guess we're still just calling it En Horas de Tormenta, even though that's not really, that's the system name and not a campaign name. But
what's
I guess
the
those are the
campaign
big
name?
5.
I've been calling it that the whole time.
Yeah, I guess so. I wanted a more appropriate campaign, but that's not the point.
Oh God.
Yeah. But yeah, so I guess that's 5 big ones right now. And then, of course, there's been a bunch of one-shots over the course of it. The Magical Girl one you've mentioned before. A bunch of small playtest ones just to try out different systems. You know, so a lot of stuff.
And I did one game. Like I DM'd one game, like 8 sessions maybe, something like that. But I'm probably meant to be
I think it was like a dozen or like a 13. Like it was around an anime core, right?
Yeah. Not intentionally so, but it just ended up that way.
It worked out.
Yeah. Well, why don't we go into our first story here? This is submitted by our good friend Kyle. This is actually one of the people who were in our original group when we first started playing. And of course, the system that we... Oh, yeah, you want to gasp? There you go.
I don't know, just...
No, I played a sound alert. Morty cannot hear the sound alerts, unfortunately. That did not work out. But anyway, this story is submitted by Kyle, or DM Guru on TikTok. I don't think he posts too much anymore, but he is a brilliant DM. I'm really sorry, guys. My OBS crashed. I've been having a lot of crashes lately. Anyway, are we all good? Do we have a thumbs up, Mordio?
Let me see. Yep, okay. Yep. I can hear you. I can hear me.
Okay, great. Like I was saying, anyway, Kyle is a DM. He's also a player. And here's the first story. We're just going to go right into it this time.
Yep.
So this involves, I'll just read it, I guess. Our party, the Emerald Flame, great group name, by the way. I need to work on our group names. Yeah.
Our campaign is 20 sessions in, and you guys still don't have a group name that you guys like.
We do have a group name that we like, and it's the Best Friends Brigade.
But does anyone like it?
Yes.
And didn't the player who suggested that say they just took it from a different TTRPG podcast?
Oh, no.
Yes.
Oh, no. Oops. Well, we're not playing that stream online. It's fine. It's fine. Anyway, Human Beastmaster with Panther, Drow Druid, Human Light Cleric, Human Wizard, Warforged Paladin, and our foes, the Aboleth and their foul minions. Oh, and the demon ship of Zargon. I have no idea that this ship name is like a thing in D&D or not. Do you know?
I do not. I love tabletop RPGs, different systems, and playing games. I am very bad with established lore. I like systems that have like broad paintbrush strokes that are evocative, but I'm very bad with details when it comes to systems. So I don't know D&D lore. I don't
You
want to
know
say
a
at
fair
all because
bit. Yeah.
I know a lot about mind flayers, and I knew that before Baldur's Gate 3 because that's the interesting part of D&D
Yeah.
to me. I'm personally all the aberrations, beholders, mind flayers, and for modrons for some reason, even though they're not mind
Modrons are
flayers. But
fun. Well,
yeah.
what can you tell us about the D&D system?
Oh yes, okay, sure, I can do that. Uh, if you listener are have ever heard of tabletop RPGs, you've probably heard of D&D. That's right. It's the flagship. It's the big one, the big name. It's what I think it's the most played one across much of the world, not quite everywhere. But in a lot of it, it's the number one RPG system. There's been a lot of different editions. Each one does things at least a little differently from the others. My opinion that gets me canceled on the internet is that fourth edition's my favorite edition of D&D. But fifth edition, which I assume this story, and I assume all the D&D stories we've been submitted for this, unless mentioned otherwise, is a pretty solid jack of all trades system where each player wants something a little bit different out of the game. It does all the different things you can do in a tabletop RPG well enough that it's a good balance between everything that helps keep the unite a bunch of different ideas together. And of course, it has a I don't want to say entirely classic fantasy feel because it's kind of got its own sort of fantasy feel that's evolved a little bit past Tolkien at this point. But it's got a very classical fantasy feel.
Gotcha. I mean, I know a decent about D&D, of course. I do not know particularly what system this isn't. I don't know if this is an old story or not, because I know that this particular person has played for a long time. So who knows? They might have put in, but I did not have like a separate logo that says 5e.
Well, maybe the story will enlighten us to clues.
We'll see. All right. In an aboleth city deep beneath the sea, our party was boosting a sentient demon ship to escape the plane of water. The ship needed souls to be revitalized, and we first thought we wouldn't be able to feed it. But the DM sent an aboleth and minions to fight us, and we were all delighted, much to our foes' dismay, as we one by one fed them to the ship's toothy maw. Oh, thank goodness you're here, we began to chant. Mouth, mouth, mouth! A la Grand from Return of the King, and it's become an inside joke ever since.
Oh my god.
I had to look up what Grand was. That's like all I got was that it's a battering ram? Is that right?
In the same way I don't know a lot of details about D&D. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy Lord of the Rings and all, but I could not pick out what specifically that name was off the top of my head.
No, you're failing me as the expert. It's a
It's
magic
a magic
battering
batter.
ram. Okay,
Thank
thank
you, Beryl.
Okay. Yeah, so they're screaming mouth, 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 and they're just feeding their enemies to the ship. But that sounds like a eco-friendly solution to me.
It's it makes use of the materials that you have at hand, locally sourced, right?
Yeah, it is locally sourced. You're right.
It's efficient, right? You're going to be fighting these guys anyway. You might as well use them to power your ship. I'm sure it's not morally evil to feed souls to a demon ship. Or is it a devil ship?
If they're demon souls, well, I guess aboleths aren't really demon souls, but
Yeah.
they didn't feed them human souls, so that's
Aboleths are aberrations, I believe, so it was probably more the souls of the minions. But now they're being fed. Although I don't know. Do aberrations have souls? This is a question for philosophers.
Oh, we got some more Return of the King lore. The magic battering ram is used to pierce the gates of Minas Tirith. I'm sorry if I said that wrong. And it's more important in the movies than in books. Interesting, huh?
Okay. I mean, I do remember now that, when you said earlier the battering ram, I remember a battering ram being used, but what I was trying to say was, from the name, I wouldn't have been able to guess.
Yeah, I had to look it up, but that's fun. Mouth.
That's a very D&D type story, right?
Oh my God.
Just that. I don't want to call it gleeful murder, but
No,
the
that's
gleeful
yes.
usage of your foes to fuel the fuel something, right? I don't know. It's fun. That's fun.
Yeah.
It sounds like it was very successful.
Yes. Well, thank you, Kyle, for your wonderful story. Thank you for sharing.
This is a recent one because I don't think I've heard it before, and
No.
we've heard other stories from him. So
Yeah. Well, I happen to give this story and all stories individual badges, stickers, not really awards because they're all different. Everybody gets one. But do you want to take a guess as to what this badge is?
if I had to guess, it would have something to do with the word mouth.
Wrong. It's the mouth badge.
Wait. That's why.
You what? Huh?
That's why. Never mind.
Well,
Show the
anyway,
badge.
here's the badge. Here's the badge right over here. This is the mouth badge. I dubbed the mouth badge. Thank you for the mouth story. Woo!
Yeah! Woo! Yeah!
All right,
Wow.
let's put that away and go to the next story.
Very nice.
Oh, sorry. I also have a picture of an aboleth if people were not aware of what they look like. Anyway,
They're fun critters.
Yeah, but not as good as mind flayers.
No, but they're still fun.
No.
You probably don't remember,
Hi,
but we fought one of those.
Katie! Welcome! We just got
Hello,
through Kyle's story. I'm gonna show the badge real quick to her. Here's the mouth badge. All right.
You really want to show off the badge.
I mean, I spent like 5 minutes today making it.
Yeah, fair enough.
Anyway.
You could store all the badges in the non-working chat box if you wanted.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, I'll put that in there. The mouth badge right there. Make it tiny.
Okay.
All right, next story. This one is submitted by rabbitleg/Lena. Lena is a wonderful artist that I have known for quite some time now, actually. And she submitted this story. And actually, we have 2 of her stories. But let's get to the first one.
Oh.
Wait, let's start actually with the system, Shadow of the Demon Lord. This is one I have played and really, really liked. But Mordio, what can you tell us about it?
I've run it and I really, really liked it. I knew that there was going to be, so I knew what systems were going to be here, but I didn't know anything about the stories specifically. I did not expect to see this from someone who wasn't in our group. I'm very happy to see that.
Me too. I'm really glad more people play this.
Yeah, it is probably one of my favorite systems. Run it multiple times because it's simple, lightweight, and characters feel powerful and not immortal. Right? Like, I feel like I could kill those characters if I needed, if the dice fell differently.
Yeah.
Right? It's also very easy to homebrew for. I like that they use attributes. So, D&D maybe should have been under the D&D talk, right? It has your classic attributes 1 to 20, but then it turns those into modifiers. And you don't really use the attributes for too much, right? Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't really matter that you have a 15 intelligence. What matters is you have a +2.
Right.
And Shadow of the Demon Lord, the exact number does matter on your 1 to 20 attribute because that's your defense against spells or certain abilities for that attribute. And you're still modifiers and stuff like that. And there's a lot of character customization, mixing and matching of classes, right?
You
Like
don't have to feel like you're in one class, which I really liked.
Now, I forget the exact details of it, but my go-to example was always building like a paladin, right? You could start the way the classes work. They start very generic and they get more niche as you go. And so if you started with a generic, like either fighter paladin, you might just be someone who leans more on the ideals and the martial. But if you go to a cleric, you might be more support. And then as you level up and get your new paths, you might lean more into the spellcasting side or to the fighting side. And it's all just a good way of getting your own take on what you feel the class, what you want your character's path to be, right?
Right. Well, let's get on with the story then. So the context for this is Last Argument of Kings. A millennia-old member of an invading race with a strong code of honor left to rebuild his power after having half his soul obliterated by a corruption-scouring artifact. This is some, I should have taken this out, but there's like Celestia is also in this, the god of the sun, and the sword and shield of a nation, the therapy needer. We'll take a look at that once we get to the picture aspect of it.
The therapy needer, is that describing one of the PCs? Because I feel like that describes a good number of PCs, the one who needs therapy.
Yes, probably. So, the story. Last Argument of Kings challenged the goddess of the sun to a friendly spar. Even with every incantation spell scroll we could scrape together, we all expected him to put up a good fight, but be defeated in 1 to 2 rounds. That would have been the case if not for her student, Twiggles Biggles, who happened to be pissed at her. Twiggles contributed 3 horrendously expensive incantations. Invulnerability, immune to damage so long as you use an action every round to concentrate. Accelerate, I love that spell. Haste, and reverse spell, challenge roll to take control of a spell. It was an epic battle and Kings held on quite well even before casting invulnerability. He nearly paid for waiting on that, as his foe took to the air and called down a piece of the sun upon him, a rank 10 spell.
Ooh.
It's really high.
I feel like I might know that one.
Yeah. Sometimes saving the world is therapy. Thank you, Tape Player. Yes, it's true, it's true. Then he cast reverse spell, hitting her with the piece of the sun instead. Nobody expected him to win, but somehow he did it. Also, the sun god in question is Princess Celestia, and everyone involved was a horse.
Wait, the twist.
Yeah, let's get to the picture. I couldn't wait for you to see this. This is...
Oy.
Hold on. There we go. Here's the picture. This is a pony game.
Oh, I didn't realize. You know, I think you did mention to me that there was a pony story, and I didn't think...
What? No, did I? I wanted to keep that secret.
I thought you did mention it, but I assumed it was the pony system, Pony Finder. But
Pony
I didn't
Finder,
expect to see it come up under Shadow of the Demon Lord.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny.
Oh, wait, hold on. Let's go back to this. It says, pictured on the right, Celestia. So all the way on the right here is Celestia, I suppose?
Okay,
and this looks like
right.
straight up Trixie. I think that's like the same cutie mark. I think that's... Is that just Trixie? I don't know. I don't want to make any assumptions, but yeah.
Wow.
Amazing.
Wow.
There's so many. First of all, great pick. Thank you for submitting.
I like that pony on the bottom left. Their eyes, the ink dripping. That's a fun effect.
Yeah, it really is. And it looks like there's a vampire pony here.
Yeah, that's also true. Wow.
Yeah. Well, that's amazing.
That is really something. Can we go back to the story for a second?
Yeah, sure.
Too? Just I had something I wanted to say. Oh yeah, a rank 10 spell, right? I guess something for important context is I think typically players can only learn up to rank 5 spells, right?
Oh.
So just to give a scale for like a rank 10 being that powerful, I love that it was reversed on the boss
That's
for the
crazy.
fight. That is exactly the kind of shenanigans that
I mean, there's
love.
literally a spell in Shadow of the Demon Lord that, you know, you can go back in time and annihilate someone from ever existing, right?
That is true. That is a high tier spell.
It's a really, like, you can modify the system to be your specific genre and whatnot, but there's like a lot of stuff that's sort of built into some spells that is really like a specific kind of
Yeah.
feel. Like,
Yeah.
and I feel, I just love that they've done ponies for this system. I think that's brilliant.
Yeah. I think it works well. Like I was saying earlier, this is a pretty adaptable system. And I think this story also highlights what I was saying, that like player characters, they're not superhuman. They're not super pony. You can expect them to be defeated, but they can feel powerful. One good roll to reverse the spell, really changed the course of things, right? So
Yeah.
really rad.
Do you want to guess what badge I've given this?
Either something to do with a pony or a sun.
Wrong. It's the pony badge.
Wait. Are you just going to say wrong no matter what I guess?
This gets the pony badge. Oops, I moved the whole thing. This gets the pony badge. Woo!
Yeah! Woo! Yeah!
Thank you, Lita.
Oh, that's a nice badge. That's a good badge. I
Thank
like that
you.
one.
I had to draw all of these. Oh, no, sorry. Oh, I'm lying. I'm a liar. I drew one of these, and the rest I took from the Noun Project. Credit to them. It will be in the description because we should cite our sources. Anyway, next story.
All right, next story.
We're going to go with another Lena story. Thank you. This one involves Chris, a Harngar... Oh, this is D&D, by the way. A Harngon bard. I don't know how to say that. I'm sorry. My PC. Mitsuhide. Yeah. A tiefling chancellor, the bad guy. Plus everyone else in the party. Okay, the story. Villain had set up a whole plan to take over a country because he felt like he deserved the kingdom. Ain't that just the way?
That's just the way.
His mother was a royal who had been ostracized and fled the nation. Later on, he rejoined the shogun's ranks and tried to get what he believed was his birthright through merit. But when this didn't happen, he tried to get everyone killed, as one does.
And that's where the villain arc really shines through.
Yes.
Like, it's one thing to be like, I feel like I deserve it, so I'm going to go back and go through the process. But when the process rejects you and your next in plan B is murder everyone, well, you might be the antagonist.
Yes. My character, a bard who grew up in the slums, had to cheat their way into survival, started going on a rant where they said, "First of all, don't think anyone owes you anything because of how much work you put in. Most of us down here will never make it anywhere no matter how hard we try, and we don't see us doing murderous plots because people don't appreciate us. You can't please everyone, least of all by forcing people to obey you. And secondly, Cloud of Daggers, level 4. The table cheered as the bad guy got sliced by magical daggers all over. Also, Chris was cosplaying Baiken from Guilty Gear while this happened.
Wow.
What else are you going to do? Let someone else have all the power? You're so right. You're so right, tape player. Also,
Yeah,
Cloud of Daggers.
Great point.
Love that. Oh, man.
Cloud of Daggers.
It just makes me think of Cloud of Daggers in Baldur's Gate, which doesn't feel as powerful as it should be. You used it a lot in 4, right? D&D 4?
I loved 4th edition Clouds of Daggers.
Yes, that's what's
5th
good.
edition. 5th edition's one can work if the terrain's right and you're like, you got the right positioning and everything. It's just much smaller and harder to use. But in 4E, it was one of my favorite spells. One of my favorite ones.
Yes. We do also have a picture for this one as well. This is their character.
Not ponies this time.
No, not
Oh,
ponies.
that's fun.
Yeah.
Look at this rabbit, I assume.
Yes. I mean, I'd assume so. This is Lena, of course, for talking about the rabbit legs. It makes sense.
Oh, that makes sense. Yep.
Very cute,
Very
very
nice.
cute character. I love them. Yeah, so you want to take a guess as to the badge?
Either a rabbit or a cloud of daggers.
Wrong. Cloud of daggers. Woo! Yeah! Woo! Cloud of daggers. It's the. I was thinking of naming this just like the fuck you badge. But the images of a cloud of daggers. So we've got that. Let me make that a little smaller here.
Man, maybe one day I'll play a character who feels like they deserve that badge again. Either you really need to work for telekinesis or other force movement for Dagger Blender to work. Yeah, exactly. Like you really need to set it up and like build around it or like plan around it in the moment.
Yeah. All right, next story. This is the system GURPS. Tell us about GURPS.
All right, I'll tell you about.
Wait, hold on. Let's read Green Barrel's message first.
Yeah.
Think they are just going to say wrong no matter what. And I know you are non-binary, but I think they want you to be the straight man in this comedy duo.
I feel like that's usually my role in a comedy duo. Unless I'm the one making bad puns, I suppose.
Yeah, Mordio's comedy style is exclusively puns. So
That's not true. It's mostly puns. And really weird word rephrasing, which isn't quite a pun. I don't know.
Anyway, GURPS. Tell us about GURPS. Yeah.
So GURPS is one where I've heard a lot about it. I know roughly how it works, but I've never read or played it. Everything I know is from cultural osmosis, right? Just from being in tabletop RPG spaces and that. My understanding is it's a relatively scalable system. Attributes and skills, you roll 3d6. It's some kind of roll under, right? As your skills go up, your chance of succeeding increases because you need to roll under. And mainly, the big thing I know is that there's a bunch of books with optional rules that you can use to customize your campaign to whatever theme setting, whatever. You want mechs, there's a book for that. You want old school Western, there's a book for that. You want sci-fi space traveling, there's a book for that, right? And it's just like that. It's been around for so long. There's been multiple editions, but just I think its strength is just having a clean core to build off of, and then numerous books to customize from. But like I said, I never read or played it, so maybe I got some of the details wrong in there.
Well, thank you for giving us your best effort to describe this, because I don't know anything about it. All right, let's read the context here. This is submitted by Amasha. Thank you, Amasha, so much. I know you can be here right now, but I hope you are enjoying the video so far in the VOD if you ever watch it. All right. Short half-elf my friend played named Phosphorus, goes by Phos, who uses magic and is fairly gullible. Wonder what kind of story this will be then.
Yeah, height seems a relevant descriptor.
Well, this gives you something to think about. Anyway, our party was about to head out on a trip, and there was a salesman outside the city selling pet rocks. It was obvious they were legitimately just rocks with painted eyes and a mouth. Well, that's what pet rocks are. However, our half-elf friend was totally engrossed, haggled, and still paid more than the rock was probably worth, but came away with what he believed was a baby rock golem. He named him Svelbald. Throughout the rest of the campaign, Foss would feed Svelbald smaller rocks by leaving them near and looking away or putting them in his pack with the rock. This went on IRL months, if not a year. IRL. Then, one day, as we were in the depths of a Fey-influenced dungeon, Foss asked the DM for permission to throw Svelbald like a weapon. Permission was granted. Foss told Svelbald now was his time to shine, and our DM turned him into a giant rock golem. Handily helped in the fight and would be useful for the rest of the campaign.
Wow. That's fantastic. I wonder, Svelbald, was Svelbald always a baby rock golem? Or did Svelbald become a rock golem
Yeah,
through the
like
power of belief, Final
Yeah.
Fantasy XIV style?
yes, like the power belief he. It's like the Velveteen Rabbit. You love something so much it becomes real. I think that was the case in this.
Beautiful.
And Svelvald became. I think it's crazy that it became a huge one, and it wasn't just like a tiny one with legs.
Well, steady diet of rocks over the course of over a year or around a year. That's a lot of rocks.
It's a lot of rocks.
It's a lot of rocks.
Well, thank you so much, Amash.
Thank you.
I feel like there's a few occasions where I've seen people pick up critters and have them as pets, but not like a rock or just a rock.
No, not like a rock. Although I will say it does seem very in character to spend very player character to like spend a long time haggling over and then role playing over and then buying something that everyone knows is completely useless at that moment. But not in this case.
Nice. Well, you know what time it is. Do you want to guess what the badge I've given this wonderful story?
The rock badge.
Wrong. The pet rock badge. Take a look at this badge.
Oh my goodness. How delightful.
It was a rock lich observing the souls of other rocks. Oh my goodness. At least it's a nice rock lich where it can only take rock souls, so I think that's fine.
Yeah.
Yes.
It
I
sounds
love
like
this
the
one.
party had nothing to worry about either because it looks like they appreciated and took care of it. So even if it was a lich and that could eat other souls, it wouldn't have gone after them because they never took it for granted.
Ah! Oh my goodness.
Go on like 3
reverb for
loops
you.
to get to that one.
Yeah, you were circling around that
Yep.
that pun. Amazing. I did like that actually.
Oh, good. I'm not going to be muted for rest of stream.
No. All right, next story. This is a Pathfinder story. I don't know what version of Pathfinder, unfortunately, and I don't know who have submitted this one. This one did not put in a name, so this is by Anonymous.
Secret story.
Yeah, tell us about Pathfinder.
All right. Well, like you just said, you don't know what edition this is. I'm more familiar with the second edition than the first one since I have the second edition book sitting on the shelf back there. I haven't played it, but maybe will one day. I know that first edition Pathfinder was a fork of 3.5 D&D, right? So shared similar roots. The licensing at the time let them build what was basically a growth or evolution of the system, right? Lots of feats, lots of classes, lots of options, which to me was always kind of intimidating and probably why I never really looked into it. But as I said, 2E has me interested, so yeah, it seems like fun.
How does it
Lots
differ?
of feats, not that kind of feats.
Oh my god. Banned. So what's its main difference between this and D&D, or is there not really one?
Between Pathfinder First Edition and D&D 3.5, or Pathfinder Second
Let's
Edition?
talk about the modern Pathfinder versus the modern D&D. So, like,
Okay.
who would you suggest? If you were to suggest one to or the other to someone, what would you say?
I think Pathfinder 2E. Now, again, this is coming from someone who hasn't yet played or run Pathfinder 2E, but has read it. It has very strong and consistent rules around combat, right? Mm-hmm. And around skill checks. I really like its degrees of success that's inbuilt, right? Like where if you succeed by more than a certain amount, you get a critical success. You don't just need a 20, right? So I think Pathfinder Second Edition has the reputation for being a little bit more balanced. So if you like a little bit more structure to your games and like combat feeling a little bit more, I don't want to say challenging because that's not the right word, but more something where you can expect to, like it's more of a puzzle or a challenge to get through, right? In and of itself. Whereas D&D 5e, as I said earlier, is more of a jack of all trades. Maybe you have people who aren't as into the combat side and want something lighter. So the combat's still pretty involved as far as tabletop RPGs go, but not as involved as Pathfinder. And the out of combat stuff is also similarly less defined. So if you like a little bit more fuzziness, a little bit more adaptability, you'd probably go that way. Or again, if people want different things out of it, like if we were to play Pathfinder, I can think of some people who have been in our groups who might not appreciate the maths that are involved, right?
Oh, Tape Player says Pathfinder 2e has a great mobile app as well. You can build whichever character you have without having to buy the book like D&D Beyond. Oh, that's nice.
I like that. I think they got most of the rules, if not all the rules, online somewhere for free, which is nice. Really nice.
Nice. All right, here's the context. This involves Zazadon, a kobold sorcerer who dreams of becoming a dragon disciple.
Okay.
And here's the story. The party was sent to clear out a kobold cave and had just reached our first encounter with the kobolds themselves. As it turns out, this is Zazadon's old tribe, and they're all too happy to see him return. After some deliberation over what story we want to tell, Zazadon ends up declaring himself as the tribe's new dragon, essentially claiming divine right to rule, and demands to see the king. Bluff is rolled. Zazadon does very well. Sense motive is rolled, the kobolds get maybe a 4. So, they believe Zazadon, or at least what they think he's saying. Zazadon changed his name since leaving, so what they believe is that the kobold Peewee has returned and comes with a new status and the prophet to the dragon Zazadon.
Okay.
Regardless, the kobold grunts happily. Lead us through the dungeon, bypassing all the encounters and traps to meet the boss. I love a good roll that just bypasses every fight. Unlike his minions, though, the kobold king can roll worth a darn, so he actually sees through this nonsense and begins a fight. One miniature holy war later, the king, I think is supposed to say, the king is dead, and Zazadon is declared simultaneously the clan's new prophet and dragon. Unfortunately, the group didn't continue beyond that, so Zazadon just rode off with his new giant toad mount, followed by his new army of followers and the less important party members.
Oh, well, it's unfortunate the campaign didn't continue past that. But I think, like you said, it's always fun when a clever plan with a good roll really unseats things. Like this could have gone all sorts of different ways, right? The king rolled and could see through the bluff, and there was a boss fight. But maybe the dungeon could have just started collapsing in on the party as all the other kobolds are called in, right? It could have turned into an escape sequence, could have done all sorts of things. I really like this kind of stuff. That kind of flexibility.
The dragon is dead. Long live the dragon! I did have to edit this one down a little bit. This one over the word max. So there's a couple of details that I didn't think were too imperative to the story. I'm sorry, I did say a 1,000 word limit. So I read all of these stories that went over the limit, and I just trimmed it a little bit. But we've got the gist of the story here, and thank you so much for sending this one in. Thank you. There is no picture for this one.
No picture?
What were you going to say?
No, I was going to say, just to reiterate what I said, I think that was good adaptability on the GM's part and good planning on the player's part to come up with something that was at least relatively plausible. Specifically, I like that the player said something and they rolled well.
Yes.
The kobolds rolled to see through it and rolled poorly. And the GM adapted what the player had their character say in a way that worked, but wasn't exactly what the player said because the GM didn't think it made sense, right?
Yeah.
So it's okay, you're obviously not a dragon, right? Not the dragon. But here's the charitable interpretation of what you said based on the difference of the roles and how that enabled, success and progress. That's good. That's good stuff.
Yeah, I agree. So, this badge has a cool name actually. So, what do you think it's called?
A cool name.
Well, it's clever. Maybe
A
it's not
clever
cool,
name?
but it's clever.
Ooh. Uh, I don't know. I was just gonna say it was like the dragon badge or something, but
Wrong. It's the King Me badge.
oh, okay. I actually got that one wrong. There you go. That's good. That's
This is the
good.
King Me badge.
Very nice. I
Yes.
think that's a good badge for this too. I like it.
Thank you, thank you. All right, into the horde right here. Moving
I
on.
like this little collection of badges. I know you said you didn't draw all of them. You used
No, I didn't
the
draw
resource.
any of them except for the rock and the pony.
Oh,
The rest are just icons, but I did like build them, you know. Okay. We've got more Shadow of the Demon Lord. Oh my gosh, I didn't realize Lena submitted 3 stories, but thank you. Oh my goodness. We actually have content.
this is the same.
Oh, did I go backwards?
Did you go backwards or put it in twice?
For some reason, it went really far back. Never mind. Lena's only submitted 2 stories. The next one is actually submitted by AJ, and this is a Dungeons and Dragons game. The context is... Huh?
I was gonna say short, sweet description.
Yes, exactly. The context is simply player suplexed a demon off a train.
Wonderful.
Wonderful. All right. The group was investigating a cursed train. Along the way, they activated some traps and some demons appeared to confront them. The barbarian was rather frustrated by the amount of demons present and asked how fast the train was going. You know, if like you're asking a DM a question like that, it's going to be good.
Yep.
Upon confirmation, he successfully rolled grapple and athletics, did a spinning pile driver, then suplexed the demon out a window where it tumbled, crashed, and burned.
Very nice. That's good thinking. And honestly, if you put an adventure on a train, you should plan both for the players to throw people off of it and for people to try to throw your players off of it. Which,
Yes.
That would be very bad if it happens to a player. But, maybe bad things happen to player characters sometimes.
It sounds like you kind of have like a, I don't know, chip on your shoulder about that. What's going on there? You want to talk about that?
No, I don't. I like the threat of consequences, and I'm willing to visit them upon players, but I don't feel the need to force them.
Got it. I mean, I will point out that not only one character has like died in your games, and they came right back.
That's true.
Well, we recently did something on a train too, right? But we did not have a fight on a train. We just did some talking. When are you going to give us the train?
The train arc?
The train arc. When are you going to give us the rail tracer? I was really expecting that.
I've got some ideas for a train arc cooking. Whether you all will do it though, that's the real question. I already had I don't want to call it a circus arc, but we kind of like walked up to the tent of that one and decided, you know what? Never mind.
I mean,
So,
I am a little disappointed
that's always the
about
danger.
that.
But, it happens. It happens.
Were there snakes on the train? Unfortunately not. There was...
Note to self, put snakes on train in train arc.
I gotta be honest, my tummy's hurting again.
Oh no.
I'm just a poor little tubby ache haver.
No.
But anyway, that is this story. Thank you so much. All right. What
This has to be the snakes on a train badge, right?
Wrong. It is simply train wrecked. The train wrecked badge. Like wrecked.
But the train survived.
Well, yeah, but someone got wrecked from the train on the train. It makes sense.
And I guess the train is on fire like some demons. And the demons crashed and burned. So, all right, I'll give you a pass.
Give me a pass. I came up with great badges. All of them are great and perfect. All right, next story. This is the Dragon's Table, and I believe this is someone's homebrew, like this is someone's personal system that they created. There was like a website that I looked at for them. I think this was built by DT75. Did your research tell you the same thing?
Yes, I did see a website which hosts a free Google Doc with all of the current rules. It is quite a bit. I forget exactly how many pages, but there's a couple hundred, so I did not read all of it at the moment. But at their short pitch was that the Dragon's Table is a TTRPG system based around two main factors: basic math and actions having consequences. The things that stood out to me as I was reading it is that your characters have a bunch of stats, right? Like most tabletop RPGs, but those stats have growth rates, like percentage rates. And when you level up, you roll against the growth for each stat, which reminds me a lot of Fire Emblem.
That makes sense. They're really into Fire Emblem. I know that this person is really into Fire Emblem.
Yeah, so it gave me those vibes when I was skimming through it. And then those stats get turned into modifiers and you roll things from them. Emblem.
So do you mind real quick actually to put on the air in the library, because I feel like I'm gonna faint.
Sure, I'll go do that. Do not pass out on stream, please. Thank you.
Okay. Oh, it's the stomach ache with the heat. It's messing me up. It's messing me up, guys. It's all right. We got, how many things did we do? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We've got 7 more stories. I can make it.
All right, I'm back.
Okay. All right. Context here. This involves Archibald, a dragon PC with a thief backstory. Excuse me. Vercingetorix, an ancient dragon soldier who was still waiting for orders on a war that had ended 1,000 years earlier.
Oof.
He was sleeping under what was now an extremely populated human city. The rest of the party, Valent, Edwin, Octavia, and assorted NPCs.
Okay.
After uncovering the ancient dragon Vercingetorix under a city, the only dragon party member, Archibald, tried to get him to realize the war between dragons and humans was over. Vercingetorix didn't believe him, and didn't help. He was eating a bunch of humans in front of the party. What? Like live? With a few NPCs in his food pile. Like just alive? Oh my god. The party used a gag item I gave them much earlier, a necklace that lets you switch bodies with people for 10 minutes on Vercingetorix. That's a powerful item. Convincing him to follow them outside in Archibald's body. When Archibald was in Vercingetorix's form, he did a hefty chunk of self-inflicted damage, which really helped them in the following battle. The fight was supposed to be hard, but while they were switched, they also tossed all of the boss's items, making him a cakewalk. I was really proud of my players for thinking of such a creative way to cheese the map.
Wow. Yeah, I assume the operating clause in this was that they convinced the dragon to agree to this and go outside to prove it, right? Like, I don't know for sure, but this sounds like something where if the dragon didn't want to do it, it would have been a save or something, like ongoing save ends. But because they convinced the dragon to do it, that let them sabotage the boss fight. Yeah. Very good.
I like that they also didn't just think to damage them, but also throw away the items. I don't know if I would necessarily have thought of that.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Just like, all right, what can I do now that I'm in here and I only got 10 minutes? Magic gear, go into random corners. NPCs freed, all that kind of stuff.
God.
That is the fun sort of PC thinking that I really enjoy. And just from the notes here from DT75 that it was a creative solution, I assume this body swap amulet was given for entirely different reasons or, entirely different circumstances. And they just found the way to apply it here in a way that made sense, So it wasn't wasn't like the magic MacGuffin for dealing with this dragon. It was something else, something unrelated that they crossed the wires. Always good.
I just want to circle back to the eating a bunch of humans in front of them. Like, I kind of just imagined all these NPCs in like behind a small wooden fence, kind of stacked up like a bowl or something, and he's just
Oh,
like
no.
eating them like popcorn, just like taking one, putting it in his
Oh,
mouth.
no.
Whatnot. I'm sure that's not how it went, but that was the visual I was getting. I do think this has a picture, so let me go to the next slide. This is Archibald.
Oh, that's fun. And look, that is very Fire Emblem feeling
It's the
clothing.
cape, isn't it? It's the cape.
It's
And
the cape. It's
simple
also like
clothing.
yeah. I
The
want to
old
say it's
Fire
also the
Emblem.
palette.
The palette. Oh, yes, you're right. Yes.
Archibald. He has
Archibald. Band. Double band. Oh my gosh.
That's fun.
This is beautiful. I think this
Yeah,
is
that's
really
great.
nice art. This was actually pulled from Art Fight. So DT75 Art does Art Fight, and I have you on my
Oh.
sights. I have you on my sights. You're on my list.
Oh, that's fun. That's very fun.
All right, let's give this this story a badge. What do you think it is? This one's a funny one. I like the name of this badge.
Body swap badge.
No, not funny enough. Wrong. It's the
What?
why are you hitting yourself badge.
Oh,
Because
okay.
they self-inflicted damage on them. Why are you hitting yourself? Why are you hitting yourself?
I was trying to think of a funny way to phrase throwing all your items away, but that makes more sense.
Yes, I think there's a lot of components here that could have been good, but I thought this was very clever of me.
Yeah, you had to just pick one.
Yeah.
Very nice and
Very
appropriate
good.
badge.
Yes. All right. Into the pile. Into the pile.
Into the pile.
Excuse me. Okay. All right. This is submitted by Volo, and this is a BattleTech story. Tell me about BattleTech.
All right. So this one, I've heard the name thrown around a few times. I'm not super familiar. I'm pretty sure. Well, by pretty sure I meant when you told me this. I'm like, isn't that a miniatures game, right? Like a war game. And I looked that up, and it is in fact a war game. And there's I think 2 different tabletop RPG adaptations of the war game. I saw one from 2010 and one more recent one. Apparently they're pretty crunchy, which would make sense if you're adapting a war game to tabletop RPG, where you basically can stat up both your pilot and your mech. And so you have rules for being in mech, out of it, combat, a lot of crunchy combat. But beyond that, that's sort of where my knowledge ends.
Understood. So I will preemptively say that Volo has a couple of stories here, and they were all over the 1,000 word limit, and I had to cut it down severely. I think it was like 3 times the word limit. So I apologize in advance, Volo, but I did have to cut some of the story.
You didn't have a word limit on the form?
I did. Well,
Oh.
like the Google form said, the question said, or the input said like 1,000 words max. So I did put it there.
see.
I did put it there, but I cannot like physically limit how many like characters or words are put in. But
Got
anyway,
it.
this is as true to the story from Volo's writing that I gathered from reading it. So I read this one pretty thoroughly. All right, the
Okay.
context. The party are as follows. I was playing Atoli Sasaki, an accountant that styled themselves after Kitsune with ears to boot, that specialized in missiles. Mikaela was our engineer and head technician. Cambiar was our gun specialist. Specifically, he was very good at wielding a big fuck-ton cannon. And our mercenary company leader was Leonardo, a janitor we picked up who accepted leadership and leadership responsibilities when our training base was attacked in Session 0. He is
Okay.
also a pyromaniac. I wonder if that's important. We had
Oh, boy.
two enemies. Winoa, whose main thing was she was an assassin. She essentially points at a certain mech and gains bonuses against them, as well as an unnamed pilot whose main shtick was she had to go first in her team's initiative and she could only move by jump jets.
Okay, got it. I like that you have an accountant who specialized in missiles. That's...
Everybody has a hobby.
Everyone has a hobby. I wonder if they're both related, right? An accountant who specialized in missiles in combat and out of it. Like the accounting was also about missiles, right? Mm-hmm. But,
All right,
let's
this is the story.
yeah, let's see.
All right, sorry, I'm going to be talking a lot here. We fought a pirate force called the Clans, who challenged all forces for the ownership of the planet we were visiting. Our small mercenary group ended up pissing off the leader, Winoa, who now challenged us to a fight to the death.
As one does.
The fight was very chaotic. Winoa did a death from above attack on Leonardo. The kicker and kicked needed to make checks, which Winoa failed and fell over, destroying her leg, but was able to sunder the cockpit's armor. Leonardo just needed not to roll sneak eyes on 2d6. He rolls it and is KO'd.
Oh no, the infamous double terrible failure.
Yes. When it came to our turn to shoot, Cambiar and I both landed hits on the core of the mech, taking out its gyro and killing the mech. Cambiar had a scene where he killed the pilot, who refused to surrender and opened fire on a mech with a rifle as Leonardo got up and engaged the jumper. This means that they would be in melee range of each other. It was my turn to fire after Leonardo, and Kayla landed good hits on the mech for a turn or two. Armor was getting stripped, and we managed to score some internal hits on the gyro and engine. Reminder, Leonardo is in melee range. I passed on my missiles and scored a critical on the center torso. I get the final hit on the engine, the DM rolls to see how the engine reacts, and it goes critical. But Leonardo is in the blast zone! He took a lot of damage from that, but he did walk it off. It stripped off a lot of armor, but he survived, which was the important part. We just took a lot of damage on our mechs, which thankfully we were compensated for with our victory.
Wow.
That sounds like quite the battle.
Sounds like what?
I said that sounds like quite the battle.
Yeah. It sounds like also that the DM rolled to see how the engine reacts, right? So it wasn't a guaranteed thing that the engine would go critical from that shot, but it was critical. I like how this story started with, I don't want to say double critical fails, but two big failures that caused a big turn, and then ended with two criticals. Oh, I don't know if going critical is a critical success, but like that had it turn almost the other direction, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hey, missiles are expensive. That's true. You do need an accountant to keep track of all of your missiles.
Yeah, but if they're the one accounting the missiles, I think there's some numbers that are, going are a little sus.
And they could be, but maybe not. I don't know. You could be a reputable accountant accounting your own missiles.
Right.
Could.
I also I think I can imagine this being at the table and say, hey, I'm going to do something, but you're going to be in the way. When that happens to our group, more often than not, we're like, just do it. Just do it. I don't care if I get hit.
It's pretty rare that I think one of our players will be like, please don't hit me, right? Like even, I feel like to a detriment to the point where like people will be so close to going down because they're willing to be caught in AoEs, but it happens.
I think that's a signal to you, the DM, that we want to die. I want you to die, and you, and then me.
Well, be careful what you wish for. That last boss fight, not to get off this story too much, that last boss fight, you guys were all really low, and one of you did go down, so it could have easily gone the other way.
Yeah, it could have. Anyway, thank you, Volo, for this story.
Always want more chances for heroic sacrifice.
Yes,
that's probably true.
It's true. Okay. Tell me what you think the next badge is.
Going critical badge.
Wrong. It's just the explosion badge. Explosion. There's so much going on with this story. I could not think of a single, like, standout thing except for, like, it's actiony. Lots of things are happening. It's like, it's just exploding. Explosions everywhere, you know?
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. There's a good number of explosions, and missiles are a big focus.
Yes. This gets the explosion badge. Thank you. Okay, next story. This is submitted by Ari, our friend Arlen. I don't think
that's exciting.
that he was able to be here today, but thank you so much for submitting this story. This is a very short one, but since we were part of this, we can give more context. So this involves Eldrin, his PC, and the NPC Venom. My PC, who was on a quest to resurrect his daughter and was mostly depressed the whole campaign, ended up having to cancel the NPC, Venom, who was suicidal and felt life was meaningless after trying so hard to survive. But on a personal note, as a player who was also going through depression, after this scene, it made me feel like I was having a conversation with myself and counseling myself, which made me realize how TTRPGs can actually be useful in more than just being a game.
Mm-hmm.
That's really great. I knew, not to talk about him as a person too much and personal stuff, but like, I know it was a tough time, and I'm really happy that, our games together, we play like every Sunday. We play pretty consistently. We've been playing with him in a larger group for years now. I'm glad that could be therapeutic for you, and I'm sure it's that way for a lot of people.
Yeah, it's true. And I think that's something also where I didn't necessarily think about that when having that scene or that character. And like you said, we knew he was going through a rough time, but maybe I didn't know just how bad at that, that week or that month, how things were going. And so in hindsight, maybe it wouldn't have been the best thing for me to have this character this way. Right. I think it helped that we were already friends for a while. We'd been playing together for a while. And I'm glad that it did turn out for the better and ended up helping more than causing any trouble. Right. I think there's a very fine line when it comes to things like this, where it can be therapeutic, but also some people might need escapism or other such things.
Right.
And so I do feel bad for not considering that more when this was integrated into the story. But I was very happy with the character arcs in game, and I'm glad to hear that, it worked out well out of game too.
Yeah. It's hard to sort of navigate these kind of things. I know that a while ago I was shown this sort of, it was like a checklist, maybe you remember this too, where it was like triggers that you would not be comfortable playing with in game, things you are okay with, etc. And it had like some common ones and whatnot. And the idea was to sort of give this to your players before you even start a game. I don't know how often I think I only really used that once. I think it's just a matter of, we were really close friends, our group. We've played for a long time, as you said, and maybe that was like a failing, even though we are good friends, we don't know everything that's going on. Maybe that kind of thing should be addressed beforehand. But no, I don't want to get too down here, because in this particular case, it really did help. And so I think that's really great. I guess the moral is, check with your players, see how they're feeling.
Yes.
But I think as a GM, be open to following a story that your player has outlined. This is sort of going off topic, but I know that A lot of the times, I'm just kind of like to you, here are the main points of my character that I like, and this is what I want to have happen. But the final confrontation or whatever, like that's up to you. In particular, Marisol with her brother, I knew that I wanted her to have an estranged twin brother, and he's kind of like into these things, and we have this kind of relationship.
Right.
Do something with
But
that.
where it went from there, you left up to me.
Right. But overall, just like, I think it's good to collaborate with your GM or whatever, and work the way.
Yeah, and I will note that, like you said, you had that tool. Between this campaign and the next one, it was this event, and then talking about it with Ari afterwards. Of course, reading this story now is not the first time I've heard this sentiment from him, right? We talked about it shortly after that game. I don't remember if it was
that's good,
the very next day or like the next week or something. But and I don't know if you would recall, Nova, but the next campaign I did have those sorts of survey questions, like what things do you not want to have show up in the campaign? And I was sure to pay close attention to them. But like you said, also, I don't know how often you need to do those if it's the same group of people over and over again. Like, it might be good to do a continuous check and make sure things
circumstances
haven't
can
changed.
change, but say spiders, for example, like that's probably not going to change.
Right. But yeah, we did talk about this, and then we use tools like that. And I think those tools are more important. Well, I think they're important either way, right? They're important if you don't know the group to make sure you don't accidentally do something. And they're important if you do know the group because you want to be sensitive to things that they may not want to share too much, but are willing to at least be like, hey, can we just not get into this, right? Invite people to share at least a little bit so that you don't accidentally do something. But what badge?
Well, before we get to the badge, I want to show some pictures because we have some pictures. You and me drew these.
Yes. Yes. Oh, wow. Look at these. Wow. I forgot about that drawing of Eldrin. It's been so long.
Yeah.
How many years has it been? Many.
Many. I don't know. This is the
Very
only
sad elf man.
This is the only picture of Eldrin I've ever drawn. I've showed it to Ari, and I don't know if he necessarily thought it was a good representation or not, but I did my best to encapsulate sad elf man.
I mean, looks pretty sad elf man to me, but
Let's talk about Venom though, because she's kind of crazy looking. Look at her.
Yeah. So Venom and her sister, Toxin or Tox, they were both fungally afflicted drow, right? Who were in a mind flayer empire. So that's why they were both messed up in their own different ways. Tox was perhaps the better adjusted one, but I'm quite happy with this. I don't know, palette, I suppose. The purple, the tie, the green fungal growth and eye.
It's very cool. Very, very good drawing. All right, now we can get to the badge.
All right, yeah. Tell me.
Tape player says a badge of a picture of your deepest fear. Wrong. This one is. Oh wait, what happened to? Oh, I had two of why are you hitting yourself? This one is called healing. This was the healing badge. I'm glad this was a healing moment for you, Ari.
Yeah.
And yes, that's all I have to say about that. I think we talked about everything. So thank you so much for submitting this story, sharing with us. It was very personal, and I really appreciate it.
That, the game went well for you, that you benefited from it, and that you continue to play in our games with us.
Thank you for playing with us. Let's go to the next story.
Next story.
All right, this is our other friend. Our friends really
back to back.
Yeah, this is Ikshif. This is our friend / PC Ikshif, and this was also in Shadow of the Demon Lord. This is a swashbuckler warlock, losing. I think I'm I think it's supposed to say losing their sense of self, a wizard with no upper body strength, and a caster who had a chance to get out their frustration. Can you guess what story this is?
Oh boy. Is it the slap?
My character Ikshif gained an ability to teleport when they received damage and the party needed to get into a locked room quick. They asked a party member to punch them, so they can teleport into the room, but the caster was so weak that the hit did 0 damage and they couldn't get in. They turned to another party member who was mildly annoyed with them at the time and asked if she could. She slapped him with her handbag, which caused enough damage for the group to infiltrate the room and get away from the enemies.
Yes, I remember this very clearly. A wizard with no upper body strength. So, a wizard. Yeah.
I mean,
you're not wrong.
Yeah,
You're not
I guess
wrong.
the only thing I'll say here is that there's no real wizards in Shadow the Demon Lord. It's just like he does magic, but everybody does magic. But the point still stands. You're not wrong. A wizard with no upper body strength is in fact just a wizard.
Mm-hmm. Although, not to go on too much of a tangent, I love when a battle mage has physical stats.
I know you do.
A lot of tabletops don't represent this well because, usually you have to maximize the main thing you're doing. But a battle mage with good physical stats and a good casting stat, like that's just, mwah.
Yes. And this is actually not the first time that we've played like a this person can teleport if they take damage. It happened in our recent campaign just like a few weeks ago or something.
It's just a fun sort of ability. It happened again, and you know what? It'll probably happen another time in the future.
And it's funny because was my character both times, this time and the latest time, that did the damage to actually get them through the door.
Yeah, I guess your characters are the most willing and a combination of willing and able to cause damage.
Yes, and we have not just a picture, but a comic that I drew for this. I'm not sure how well you guys can see it. I zoomed in a little bit. It's like 5 panels, but it just says.
I think that.
Huh?
Yeah, go for it.
Says, this is Ikshif. Okay, so I think I have something to help us, but I need you to do something odd. I need you to punch me. And then she immediately punches him. But 0 damage. That didn't hurt at all. What do you expect? I'm not a brute. Okay, Marisol, could you please whack? And he was able to vanish.
Yeah. Wow. The other thing is like Martha, the one from the punching, though I think a wizard is a way to describe her. She's really more of a college professor.
Yes.
Right? A college professor with time magic. Oh,
yes.
That's my girl, says Katie.
That's my girl. Marisol, what a beautiful specimen. And I am not ashamed of that, even though it's my character and I played her. She is something else.
She's a cult classic among people who weren't in this campaign.
People love Marisol. Yes. I don't know if there's much to say about this one, except it's funny. It was great, and I love doing that.
It's funny, it's good, and honestly, we talked about this happening more than once, but I feel like it's actually pretty rare that this comes up in practice, right? Like, how often do you guys so urgently need to get through a door that one of you is willing to take damage to do it, Usually you'd use other means.
I guess so.
Yeah, at this point, only twice over over 2 campaigns, but we'll see.
Yeah.
But it's fun. It's fun. It's funny.
Okay, I've got a wonderful name for this one, and you're not going to get it more than you have for the other ones.
It's the invisible badge. There's no badge.
No, there's a badge. There's a badge, and anybody who watches Drag Race might get this one.
Oh, boy.
All right. So this badge is called Purse First. This is Purse First. It's like the song that one of the drag queens made, Purse First. And
I've never heard this song.
She hits him with her purse. Of course you have. I didn't expect you to learn or to know this at all. You may have all these books, but you got none of them on pop culture. Maybe we got to start putting like magazines or something in this library.
Yeah, maybe. Oh, well, Katie loves it, so.
Thank you, Katie. I knew you would. I knew you would. If nobody's got me, Katie's got me. All right, next
Wow,
story.
that was 10 stories.
I know.
Still a few more to go.
Just a few more. All right, this is Midgard. Quickly tell me about Midgard. And also, I think
Quickly?
this was... Wait, well, quickly after I stop talking.
Okay.
Sorry, my bad. This didn't have a person's name on it, but I think it's Volo because they wrote a lot, and it's like sort of the same writing style, except I had to, cut some stuff.
Okay.
Anyway,
All
Midgard.
right, so I've heard the name tossed around before as like in the context of tabletop RPGs, but I haven't played or read this one. My very surface level understanding is that you use 1d100 or 1d20 plus modifiers for different types of rolls to determine if you succeed, and then d6 is for damage. Seems like a very classical fantasy sort of setting. From the brief things I read, leaning more Lord of the Rings than Dungeons and Dragons currently does. But I'm probably missing a lot of nuance and detail when I say that.
Got it. All right, let's start with the context. Me, a nerd bard who joined the party for inspiration, DM, thief who stole everything that wasn't nailed down, and quite a few things that were the two mages and the warrior.
Okay.
Okay. While out at sea, we took a rowboat there to check it out, a light in the foggy distance. It was a giant anglerfish creature that tries to eat our boat. We roll a nat 20 and just row out of its mouth before it could suck us in. It then swims off to our main ship to eat that. Midgard has a bard spell called the Lesser Rope Trick, which enchants a rope and teleports people up to half a kilometer. By the time I finish, the anglerfish is taking a bite out of our ship. Ooh, excuse me. Our mages teleport over, freeze the creature in place, and start bombing inside its mouth with the Midgard equivalent of Fireball and a Stone Ball variant. Our warrior climbs into the creature to rescue a crewman who had been swallowed. Warrior and crewman make it out alive, but then the fish dies and starts filling with water, still with its teeth in the ship, dragging the ship down, threatening to capsize it. Yes, oh no indeed. Our mages successfully blow off its neck, its lower... Do fish have necks? Its lower jaw stuck in the ship while the rest sinks into the ocean. Meanwhile, our thief is going down into the cargo hold to rescue his ill-gotten belongings in case the ship sunk. He comes face to face with a panicked swarm of rats. The swarm attacks him, rolls a nat 1, failing to bite him. We keep the jaw of the anglerfish and designed it to be removable so we could store it and disguise our ship should we need to. We do later on when we were chased by enemy ships. Our mages conjured a fog. We removed the skull, turned around, and just went by the enemy ships. They didn't realize we were the same ship.
Wow. Giant anglerfish. That's a fun enemy.
That is fun. Yeah.
Like that's a fun critter.
What's it doing so high up on the ocean? Isn't that a deep sea creature?
I mean, if we're assuming its intended prey is ships,
true,
then seems like it's in the right place to me.
You're right.
And it sounds like there was a fog and everything, so it did a pretty good job of luring people to it.
It taught them a thing or two, because they did the same trick, except not to eat a ship, but to pass by one. Very
right, appearing
clever.
as something they weren't.
A ghost ship, I guess. I don't know. That's what I would think.
Yeah, or just like some really metal pirates.
Metal pirates.
Yeah.
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 It sounds like the party was really split up too. So Thief is down trying to save their belongings. Warrior's trying to fish someone out of a fish. And the mages are teleporting and blowing spells. And
That's true. Yet,
yeah.
you know, the common advice is don't split the party, right? Like, you know, you want to have everyone together. Personally, I think that advice only applies if you're in a system that has balanced combats, and you can expect to have balanced combats pretty much every time. Any other system, split the party as much as you want. And I think it's a lot of fun.
You heard it
If you want to
here.
have the risk of being by yourself, then that's up to you.
That sounds like your bloodlust chiming in.
I mean, your group in our current campaign splits the party I don't want to say frequently, but at least semi-frequently.
Yeah,
There
pretty
was
frequently.
a natural disaster happening, and the party didn't know where their healer was.
It sounded like downtime. It sounded like downtime. We were. It wasn't just me that was. I'm the healer, by the way. That was split up. It was me and then Rosita and Little Fang in a different group, and then Manny in a different one. So
Yeah.
it wasn't just me.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that's different. But anyway, that was fun. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the
But what badge
story.
did you get for this one? Anglerfish badge? A lure badge?
Wrong. Ship sunk. It's just called ship sunk.
But the ship didn't sink.
Half of it
They
did.
saved the ship. Oh. Oh, sounds like they saved it overall.
This badge is called ship sunk. Thank you, Volo.
right.
Or wait, maybe Volo. I don't know for sure, but I think it's Volo.
Thank
If
you,
it's not-
Anonymous, maybe Volo.
Yes, thank you. All right, I think the second to last story, maybe.
All right, let's see it.
All right, this is another GURPS, and this is by Imasha again. This is not the same one as last time, correct? I'm pretty sure. And this says I was playing a centaur. Oh no, not a centaur. Named Rodolfo. Am I doing these in particular order? I'm doing it in the way that they were submitted. So some people submitted early, and then later on, some people submitted twice in a row. It just literally just in the order I got them. So I am sorry about multiple people.
You know, I thought about asking that same thing earlier on, but I figured you had some reasoning behind it.
That was it.
I mean, that is
Anyway,
some
yeah.
reasoning.
A centaur named Rodolfo, who is based on the Princess Tutu character, Femio. The princess, I guess I'll talk about this. Femio is a very weird character in Princess Tutu. And that's saying something because there's a lot of weird characters in Princess Tutu. He is an interpretive dancer of sorts. I think there's an actual style of how he dances, but it's very strange, and he's sort of like a character who loves the idea of love, thinks people fall in love with him, or he might make them fall in love with them, and he's just like, oh, I'm so sorry, and he's very dramatic is what we have to say.
Right. I remember this character and thinking, I feel like I remember thinking this episode was very funny with this character, but
Yeah.
Maybe I'm misremembering.
All right. It says Femio joined the party, but I think this meant to say Rodolfo.
Yeah,
Rodolfo joined the
probably.
party on an excursion into the Whoa. Thank you, Tape Player, for following the channel.
Thank you.
I'm glad you're enjoying the stream, sounds like. Rodolfo joined the party on an excursion into the abyss. While there, we encountered a bubble that a fallen angel had made from themselves. Upon revealing their angelic nature, everyone had to do a fright check, and those who failed rolled on a table of consequences. Ooh, love table of consequences. Rodolfo failed and landed on vomiting in fear response. Everyone else passed. However, Rodolfo was mainly a plant mage, and I had him leveled enough so that he could summon roses whenever at will. So for flavor, I had Rodolfo puking flowers in the corner while everyone else had a conversation with the angel.
Oh, that's fun and considerably less gross than just vomiting in the corner. That's very funny.
Sounds beautiful. That actually sounds like the way that anime sometimes, what's it called, censors puke. But like sparkly. You've seen that, right? It's just kind of like sparkly, the puke.
Yeah. But, also, I know it says the story says this is a fallen angel, but just it also kind of feels like it fits with an angelic encounter too.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, oh, this is a celestial otherworldly being that makes the one character nauseous and they vomit beautiful flowers, right? Like, yeah. Oh no, that's funny.
I like that. Whenever you, mostly I would say the GM, but it's really just you, says like, what does that look like? Oftentimes I have a very hard time coming up with like something creative, but this is really great.
Yeah.
I hear
Yeah.
tutu
It
trivia.
is hard to be put
follow.
on the
Thank
spot.
you.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm a big Princess Tutu fan. Sorry, what were you saying?
Yeah. No, I was gonna say, I do know that it's hard sometimes to come up with those sort of fluff details on the spot, but I feel like I try to at least hand them to players when I think there's a good opportunity. And usually I try to give my default flavoring, so if people don't think of something, they can just use that. Like I try to be like, it could be like this, or
Right.
or what do you think? And if no, they're like, I try to be like, what about this? But yeah, it can be tough.
Okay. What do you think this badge is?
Has to be the vomiting roses badge.
Wrong. This is Be Not Afraid badge, but it does have a rose on it.
What makes this badge be not afraid? It's a rose.
Well, the story is that, and the story
Okay.
also has vomiting flowers, and I thought, what's better than just like vomit as a badge? Flowers.
I mean, I'll give you that. Flowers are better than vomit as a badge.
It works. Is that an Uchina rose? I don't know. It's just literally a rose I pulled off of the Noun Project. Thank you, the Noun Project, for supplying me with free icons. It might as well be the Uchina rose. All right, I think this is the last story. The last story is a Homebrew South Park. I don't know if it's based on any other system. This is more or less what they wrote. It's a homebrew and it's South Park based. So like the same way that the ponies were based, this is like South Park based, I guess, suppose.
I mean, I know South Park has some turn-based video games that this could theoretically be based on, but otherwise, I know very little about South Park. Right?
Yes.
I've seen like maybe 3
Oh,
episodes.
Nightbot, we're literally doing the tabletop moment right now. I gotta delete that. I don't want to yuck anyone's yum, but well, we're not gonna do that right now. We're just gonna talk about the story.
Let's see what the story is like.
My character, blue-haired, pale character with a Victorian-style outfit, an art fight under double brew, I believe, and my DM, a blonde with a yellow smiling mask. Interesting. All right, so we were heading into a major dungeon. The party did an insignificant insight/perception check. I got 2 1s straight off the bat, and my DM looked at me strange. So some water drips in double brew, my character's eyes temporarily blinding him. Ooh. Next set of rules, nat 1s. Everyone kind of laughs. I have horrible luck with dice, and this sort of thing happens a lot. My DM watches me get 5 more 1s before saying, okay, let's pause. They proceed to have me roll dice until I don't get a 1. It took 36 attempts. Swapping dice, using online rollers, even using the DM's lucky dice. I then just rolled a 2. At this point, the table is in hysterics and I'm just ashamed of my luck. DM's laughing her ass off too, and I'm just sitting there going, man, what the hell?
Wow.
How? Mordio, you're like a numbers kind of person. What are the statistics on this?
Very unlikely is my mathematical. 1 in 6 times 1 in 6 times 1 in 6, 36 times. So
36? That sounds ridiculous. I mean, I believe you. I'll believe you. But what the heck? It sounds like you're using dice at first. throw them away. They're no good to you.
Is this a die with just like all ones on it and no one knows? Well, it sounds like switching, but that is statistically unreasonable.
And also, like, online rollers, don't they sort of they're not true random either. They're sort of like, they try to, if you rolled something, they try not to roll it again. Isn't that kind of the thing?
No, generally that's not true for online rollers.
Oh, it's not? I thought that was...
No.
Maybe that's just like...
You're thinking of Baldur's Gate karmic dice option.
I thought that was also sort of a thing that online rollers had.
No, to the extent of my knowledge, now this might have changed since I last looked into it, which was years ago, that like Roll20, for example, back when we used that,
Yeah.
I believe they used the noise in weather data for randomness.
What is that?
Just like the little bits and bobs of measurements of weather, of shifts and like, wind currents and that kind of stuff for randomness. So as like the seed for their randomness. But I could be misremembering that. Don't quote me. Don't quote a VTuber on anything. But,
What about all the times you're like, we should make that a sound alert?
Well, yeah, quote that. Yeah, most dice rollers are random, or at least as close as to random as a computer.
Okay, yeah, I was a little, like, I got the idea in my head that no online program is like true random. And I mean, I guess that's true, but not to the extent of what I was thinking.
They're as true random as we can currently get with computers, which are inherently deterministic, right? But
I mean, so if this happened, there might be such a thing as the Fates. I don't think you were able. The Fates did not want you to succeed. This was not to be.
Mm-hmm.
And
I mean, as someone who generally has pretty poor dice luck, so poor that my homebrew system does not have the GM roll at all.
Yeah.
So that I don't need to roll. I can relate, but I don't think I've ever had anything even approaching that kind of statistical unlikeliness.
But I mean, for the sake of this, I will believe it. And I just gotta say, sucks to suck. I'm so sorry.
It's true. Also, the system actually ended up not mattering at all in this. This is purely a mathematical story.
I mean,
like, this is.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with like this particular system or South Park. It's just a story about
bad luck.
And I'm so sorry. But thank you so much. Your terrible luck has today made a great story to end on. Thank you so much for submitting. Applause a couple of times, so I do apologize for that. But we do have one picture for this. This is their character.
Oh, fun.
It's got the blue hair, pale skin. Do they have...
And certainly looks tired, like someone who only rolls ones.
Yes. Let's go... Oh wait, no, we gotta do the badge. All right, the last badge. What?
It has to be a bunch, either one or a bunch of ones.
As the picture, you mean?
Yeah.
Wrong. It's the shit die badge, and it's got a poop emoji in the middle.
Oh.
No. What do you mean no? That's what happened. Yeah. Shit out of luck.
Wow. What a badge. What a badge. I mean, it is appropriate. I'll give you that.
Here, put it on your head.
No.
Okay, I'll take it off.
Get it off. Here, put it with the other ones.
Okay, that is the last story. I'm gonna bring it back to the beginning here.
Yeah.
I really hope you guys enjoy that. I really enjoyed reading them and talking about it with you, Mordio, and it's just been a really fun time. I hope we can do more TTRPG related stuff in the future. How do you feel about today's stories?
Yeah, it was fun. We had a wide variety of, from the conclusion mathematical improbability to a lot of ones that were more story based, and some that even more involved the player side of the table. So I think it was a good collection.
Yeah. Did you have any
Thank you
favorite
to everyone who
stories?
submitted.
Do you have any favorite stories or favorite badges?
Favorite. I feel bad picking out favorite stories, especially because half of the, or not half, but like a third of them were from campaigns that I
That's
ran.
true. Yeah, it's a little
But
biased.
as far as badges go,
Yeah, what's your favorite badge?
I don't know. The pet rock one's really funny. Just slap googly eyes on anything, and I think it's great.
That is a pretty good one.
Yeah. And I do, as I said before, I would love to have a character who can one day be worthy of a Cloud of Daggers badge again.
Yeah. Yes. I guess
What
I'll
about
just
you?
for
Any
me
highlights?
highlights. Oh man, I read all of these and then for multiple times, so it is hard to pick one too. I mean, I know you were not trying to be biased, but I'll be biased. I just think that Ari's story, it wasn't really about the context of or like the actual incident, but just how it made him feel and how it was therapeutic. And I just think I don't know, there's something really beautiful about that. So
Hmm.
I'll put that up there as one of the highlights just
Yeah.
because it's something a little different. And I think, I
Yeah.
don't know.
Sorry, did you have more?
Oh, I was just going to say, Katie says, I like the mech battle one. Super cool action. Yes.
Yes. And the one with the accountant of missiles. I was going to say, I think it's Brennan Lee Mulligan who keeps saying this, and I haven't fact checked him, that like the memories formed when playing a tabletop RPG are uh, stored in the same way that you store memories that you experience in real life, right? And that way they help you, emotionally experience things that you're not. Really ties into what you were saying about that one story, and it's tabletop RPGs aren't just fun; they can also be used for your own personal character development.
Beryl, Beryl's saying that their submission got eaten. I,
No,
I didn't, no, I didn't see it.
do you have
I,
any details so we
yeah, do
can
you want to
check?
share it right now? We're still live. And you know what, I'll
I
give
mean,
you,
if you have the writing still, I don't know if Beryl saved the writing outside of the forum.
right. I mean, but if you just want to like briefly talk about it, we'll stay around for that for sure. You have it in a text.
Yeah.
Yes, great. Send that over.
The accountant of missiles reminded me of Crane, the professor of killing human experiments.
You can send it. Is it too
Can
long
you
to
like
send
reopen
it?
the form?
I can reopen the form. 1 second.
Yeah. Yeah, the professor of. Yeah. Crane was a lot of fun. I hope one day you can get back in a game again, but I know you're very busy.
Yes. Oh my god, I miss Katie so much. All right, I've changed it so now that I can accept stories again. So feel free to send it in while we talk about the rest of this stuff here.
Yeah, while you're submitting, Beryl, Nova, do you have a favorite tabletop RPG story?
Ooh, for me. Okay, so the first one that comes to mind, not necessarily my favorite one, but the first one I thought about was my character Rowan. And he is sort of like a very grumpy, grouchy lone wolf sort of
Mm-hmm.
character, but
Mm-hmm.
he's basically doing a long prison escape with a bunch of the player characters. And there was like part of the system was you can do things each day to help your survival. And depending on how you split up, you roll certain things and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I decided to go hunting alone this particular day. And
Mm-hmm.
I rolled so that an, a giant eel came out of a hole and started attacking me. And I was all alone. And
And I believe
yes.
it the damage it dealt to you on its first attack was like your max HP -1.
Oh, yeah, I was not
Right.
looking good.
Like you were left with 1 HP. And to be clear, this was with all public rolls in a, like, you know, on a virtual tabletop. So Nova could see that these are just the numbers naturally rolled. There was no GM screen involved.
Yeah. So I think what I did, I just ran. I ran for
Yeah,
it.
you ran screaming for help. You almost, like, if it had done like one more damage, maybe it wasn't one, maybe it was off by like 2, but it was pretty close, is my point, right? To
Yes.
just one-shotting you. If it had one-shot you,
I would
no
just be
one
dead.
would have known because
Yeah,
you
no.
went off by yourself to go hunt.
I mean, they might have felt my body if the eel didn't eat it.
Yes. If the animal that was hunting you did not eat you, then maybe.
And he held a grudge for a very long time. Like
Yes.
that eel specifically. I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna kill you. I don't think I ever did.
Yeah. No, you didn't.
Well, we have Barrel's story right here. So let's take a look at this. So
I mean, I
the-
know you won't have a pre-made badge or like the symbols or anything, but can you like slap it on a slide so it can be shared on the stream screen as well?
Okay, sure. I can do that real quick, but you will have to talk while I do this.
All right. Well, a dunce cap would be appropriate. No, don't say that. We don't know why it got eaten. It could have been an internet connection issue. It could have been a problem with Google Forms. Well,
It could
Don't be
easily
hard
have
on
been
yourself.
Google Forms.
yeah. I'll tell real quick. One of the first stories that I thought of was from your campaign that you ran.
My campaign.
Specifically the final boss fight, and maybe Katie, who was a player in this, could remember some details, but I believe it was Katie, myself, and one other player at the time. We did have a fourth PC who unfortunately had to stop playing due to moving away and then not having the time for it. But we were in the final fight, and if I remember correctly, Katie's character went down, the NPC went down, and then our other PC had a "we're out of here" spell, but you wouldn't be able to get back like the same day. So basically, we would be abandoning the battle. The villain would have won, and so our other PC decided, all right, 2 people are down, we're losing, we're gonna escape and live another day. But I had my character, who was also low on health, stay for one more shot, and by that I mean stay to fight basically to the death. And Hojo was able to land that shot to finish the boss off, though he didn't kill her.
Oh
Right?
yeah.
He went non-lethal.
Yeah,
Which
yeah,
actually, now I
yeah.
think about it, I think the rest of the party was trying to kill her.
Yes.
And they left, and so he went non-lethal and let her live. Mm-hmm. And I think that was a really good dramatic moment. Speaking of times when fights could have gone the other way, Hojo, being a rogue in 5th edition, could have just easily missed or not dealt enough damage to take her out on his own, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah. How did
Yeah,
you
it-
feel about that fight in general? Like, did you feel it was tough? I don't remember it, to be honest, too well.
I mean, a lot of the details have escaped me.
Yeah.
I think Moriko went non-lethal after killing one and was too sad about it. However, she was pissed. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Maybe it was just the other player in the NPC that maybe misremembered some details with the years past. But I remember it being tough, but like you said, a bunch of the details have
Yeah.
escaped me.
Okay, one more story
You have the
from
slide?
ours. Not quite yet. Just one more story. Can you please tell people the story about Rowan and the kill that he did with the book?
With the book?
Yeah, with the bird NPC. That,
Oh, with the Death Note?
yeah, with the Death Note.
All right, sure. Here's the story of Nova's PC, Rowan, and the Death Note. I gave the party a Death Note that only worked for like a single use. They could use it to kill one one thing that they knew the name of, provided they were under a certain level, right? And it was a pretty high level too for this system. It was like under like the penultimate level. So the party hung, like any good player character party who might need an important item in the future didn't use it until basically the end of the game.
That's when you're supposed to use it.
Yeah, and so you were having a dramatic standoff with one of the factions in the throne room. Big magic ritual happening. There was other factions fighting outside that were trying to get in and take this throne room for the ritual as well. So you guys were trying to help your chosen, like do what your characters wanted to, and your character Rowan knew that there was at least one other person, unaccounted for, who was in this area, trying to get the same source of magical power. And so you said something dramatic, like wanting to know about all the threats or something similar. Do you remember the exact line?
No, I don't, but I think I was trying to say something about like evening the odds.
Yeah, something like that, right? Like, oh, actually, I think someone knew that the person was above you, maybe? I don't know. But either way, you wrote down the name of the one NPC enemy antagonist who you knew existed but hadn't found yet. And so you wrote it down, and anticlimactically, they just fell from the ceiling, hidden where they were hidden, into the middle of this dramatic conversation onto the ground, just like splat at the top of the dramatic staircase in front of the enemy or the antagonistic faction, and then rolled down to the foot of the stairs in front of the party.
It shocked everyone.
Yes, surprising truly everyone. And like one of the other player characters had a grudge against this NPC in particular, and you just robbed them of any sort.
Well, because the thing is, the Death Note didn't necessarily would kill someone outright. It was like based on how many health points. And I for sure thought this guy had a lot of health points. We didn't damage him or anything. We didn't battle him previously. He was at full health, but he did not have a lot of health.
Mm-hmm.
Surprising everybody.
But like I said, the number of health it needed, you'd have to be a pretty high level character.
Well, I thought he was. Mm-hmm. It was the end of the game.
Yep. Well, the good news is we still got a boss fight when his body hatched into an abomination, and you got to fight that after. So basically, you got to skip phase 1 of the final boss.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, I have the last story up here.
Yes, let's hear Barrel's story. Sorry that it wasn't factored in. That means no badge, but we're still happy to read it.
Yes.
And
all right, this is Burning Wheel. Tell us very quickly about Burning Wheel.
Burning Wheel. Then we have this chat, and I feel like we had this chat in stream the other day.
We did, but for people watching the VOD.
Yeah. So Burning Wheel is a tabletop RPG system with a lot of character detail, right? Like there's a lot of skills in this system. But one of the main mechanics is forking in related skills, either from yourself or getting help from other people. And it creates this idea of that, like, there's a lot in the world, but often you can integrate that knowledge and bring it all together. It also does a great job of having like feedback loops into, you have character motivations that are rewarded with points that are used to feed other things. And I don't want to get too much in the details, but that's like, it's got really good character drive mechanics in addition to a very detailed skill system. Mm-hmm. It also has like, optional, even more like granular both combat systems. So it has like a dueling system where you and your opponent like pick particular styles of attack. It's like a very complicated game of rock, paper, scissors as you fight someone one-on-one. It's got a tactical combat skirmish, and it has the duel of wits, which is a debate style argument where your goal is not necessarily to just convince the other person, but anyone listening in. And that also is like sort of a rock, paper, scissors style, like attack their point, defend your own points, ad hominems, that kind of stuff, right? So for additional context, I spend time thinking about the commedia dell'arte. The Italians basically invented sitcoms and soap operas. I think these are interesting systems, but it's not the real core. Oh, sure. What do you think the real core of it is? If not the skill systems and all. It's a game about passion. Oh, I see. Yeah, I don't know if I mentioned it today, but I did mention in the past that I've never actually played it. I don't know how
I
well
thought
it
we
would
did
grok
play
with some of our
one.
group.
I thought we played one. I thought we did play one.
Yeah, encoded into the beliefs and instincts. Right, right. I forgot the specific. I forgot the terms. Right, but those are the things where when you act on those, you get. Is it that you get rewarded or you get extra stuff for it? And to what you were saying, Nova, no, we didn't. We didn't play it. We played a very, very simplified version of it for our Chimera game that we played once or twice, but it was extremely trimmed down.
I see.
Yeah, you get rewarded for those. Yeah, it does a good job of integrating character motivation into mechanics.
All right, let's get to the story. So this is Burning Wheel, submitted by Beryl. Thank you, Beryl. The character, a destitute poet, a wealthy baron, and a woman caught between their egos. All right. My favorite game of Burning Wheel that I ever ran was a one-shot that involved a love triangle set in a city inspired by Venice. Cliche on the surface, but here's what happened. One person played a wealthy baron and the other played a destitute poet. Both brought a relationship with the same woman. Oh, they bought a relationship. And wrote their beliefs around making her their wife. The players spent the game trying to marry the woman using the mechanics at their disposal. The poet wooed, the baron bartered with the father, the poet paid a moonlight visit. This sequence culminated with the baron and the poet engaged in a duel of wits to convince the woman's father to choose one of them, and she helped convince them to choose the poet. Now, the game could have stopped there with the poet triumphant, but passions were running high. This is what Beryl was saying previously. It's based on passion. At the end of the duel, the baron's player invoked the enmity clause and killed the woman in front of her family and would-be husband. Oh my god.
Oh.
Running into the darkness with the poet on his heels. The two then fought a duel to the death atop a carriage rushing through the city streets at speed. The poet won by the skin of his teeth, killing the baron, then being branded an outlaw, quitting the city in grief and disgust. What a game. What a story. Almost 20 years later, and I no longer recall the names of the characters, but I think fondly on that night.
Wow. Yeah, that sounds like it could be a Shakespearean era play right there.
You're right, it's soap opera for sure.
Yeah. Certainly, what drama.
Oh my goodness, what twists and turns. The baron wanted her to be his wife, and she just killed her. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. I mean, like Beryl just said, and like you just echoed, the game about passion, the character motivations, and in this case, fury, and then revenge, and then grief. Oh, wow.
How many sessions was that? Or is that just like one session? Like, I gotta know, since you're here. The characters both earn persona points for their actions. Oh, yeah. Sorry, you did. You said a one shot. I'm sorry. I'm like fading out here. You know, I had my tummy ache.
Oh no.
And then I feel a little better now. But yes, thank you for submitting, Beryl. Thank you for thank you everybody for being
Sorry
here.
For whatever issue caused it to not show up, but I'm glad you were able to get it submitted at the end, because this is a very good dramatic tabletop RPG story to end on, for sure.
Well, Mordio, what kind of badge do you think that Beryl got?
Ooh. I feel like there's, if I was thinking about this in advance and not in the moment, I would probably find some sort of, again, Shakespearean era play to reference in the badge. Like a broken heart badge. Well, that's obviously not it, but like it has to be something to encapsulate the drama. The scorned lover badge, the something along those lines.
Those would be great, but you're wrong.
Even now, even when there's no badges.
Wait a minute. No, there is a badge. Hold on. Where is it? Where'd it go?
There's a badge?
There's a badge.
You have a badge?
Where'd it go? Hold on. I'm going to bring it back up.
What do you mean? What badge are you talking about?
Well, you'll see it in a second. This is
How could I be wrong
this
when there
is
wasn't
the
a
thank
badge?
you badge. I didn't read the story when I put it into the PDF. I didn't read the story, so I just put a happy face. This is the thank you for being here badge. It's got a little smiley face.
Well,
Because
you know
despite what I
That's-
said earlier, you guys are important. The chat's important.
Yay, chat's important.
Here, oh look, I rotated it. Thank you.
There you go.
Okay, time
Yes.
for real to wrap this up.
It really made me hold on to Burning Wheel as a system that it recreated a dramatic plot with very limited input from me as the GM. Right?
Oh, you were
that
the
makes
GM.
sense.
Nice.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I feel like that's something that, sorry, not to keep dragging it on when I know you're tummy hort, but a lot of tabletop RPGs don't actually reward in-character behavior very well, but Burning Wheel does, and I think that's a strong point of it.
It sounds like a system for a real theater kid, you know? Like, this is
Yeah,
someone who
that
likes to
makes sense.
talk, which is me for sure. And like, a lot of the time, sometimes our players, and me too, I do this occasionally, will just say like, I do something like this. I cannot think of the exact actions, but it's like, this is my goal. It's hard
Right.
to roleplay all the time, but Burning Wheel sounds
Yeah,
like
I
a
mean, there's
system
nothing wrong
where-
with that.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. But it sounds like Burning Wheel is something that you really want to you really gotta get into and
Yeah.
play.
I think
into
also the investment just in, I don't want to say it's too complex at its core. Like, I don't think the skill rolls are anything crazy, but just like when you see a game that has hundreds of skills, there's a certain level of investment in complexity you have to be able to accept,
Yeah.
right?
Okay, you good?
Anyway, yeah, no, we're good.
Okay, for the millionth time, thank you so much for submitting your stories. Thank you for joining us on the stream. Thank you for watching this VOD if that's what you're doing right now. Talking about TTRPGs is really a really fun experience. I hope to do more games online. Maybe we'll stream some solo ones. And hey, you guys out there, if you're a GM and you're looking to do a story, you know who's always wanted to be a player? Mordio here. Let's connect more. Another idea I've had is cool monsters. Like if you created a cool monster or enemy for your characters to fight, I was thinking that might be like a second event that I might do if that sounds cool to people. I know that you've come up with a lot of cool creatures, and it just might be fun. We might get a lot of art from it too, so I'd love to see that.
Yeah, that would be a fun event to have in the future sometime. Yeah.
All right, I hope you guys have a wonderful night. I hope you enjoyed this stream, and have a great weekend. Bye-bye. Bye.